Welcome to Everything Casual, bringing you original football casual videos from the golden era of the 80s and 90s, right up to current day. Football away day stories and historic clashes between football firms. Subscribe so you don't miss out. We upload videos every week. Please note, this is not my video. It belongs to a good friend of mine, another football lad from the other end of the country. He has a great true crime YouTube channel, and this is a new thing on YouTube, where you can collaborate on a video with another YouTuber, so we thought we would give it a go. It's his video, I am just sharing it for him. Please check out his channel if you are into gangsters and real life crime bosses, that sort of thing. If anyone else out there would like to collab on a video, then just send me a message. Anyway, here we go.
Former Hibs and Hearts star James Keatings jailed for part in £400k money laundering scheme. Keatings came through the Celtic academy and also represented Dundee United, Inverness Caledonian Thistle, Hamilton Academical and several other Scottish sides during his career. Keatings retrained as a plasterer following the end of his playing career after a hip injury. His lawyer, Tony Graham, said the decision to quit football led to a considerable deterioration in his ability to earn and a deterioration in his lifestyle. He also cited Keatings' poor mental health as a result of the end of his career. Mr. Graham said Keatings had been prescribed various painkillers for his hip, but did not consider they were sufficient to alleviate the pain he suffered. Keatings began sourcing illegal painkillers to allow him to self-medicate. Whilst playing with senior clubs, even on basic wages such as £1,500 to £1,800 a week, there were always win bonuses and six-figure incrementals. Investigators from the Organised Crime Partnership, a joint unit made up of National Crime Agency and Police Scotland officers, started an investigation after watching James Keatings, 33, from Ryde Road in Wishaw, remove two boxes from the back of his white transit van and place them in the back of a second van before driving away at around 2:30 p.m. on 28th June last year. The second van was stopped and searched by officers, and two boxes were discovered in its rear containing 78 bundles of notes, up to a total of £390,040. A forensic examination of the money and the boxes found that Keatings' fingerprints were on a number of areas, including the money, the boxes, and the elastic bands keeping the notes together. Falkirk Sheriff Court heard he had been drawn into crime after a hip injury at the age of 27 left him in chronic pain, and he began to play at lower and lower levels in the game before quitting altogether and learning a trade. He appeared at Falkirk Sheriff Court on August 20th, where he pleaded guilty to possessing and transferring criminal property. He was sentenced to 13 months imprisonment at the same court on the 19th of September. Tony Graham KC, defending, said, "At the age of 30, having had a relatively promising career, it was time for him to acknowledge that he was not viable as a footballer going forward." Mr. Graham said the hip problem, for which a resurfacing operation had been offered next month after 3 years' wait, was coupled with a deterioration in his mental health after having had to abandon his footballing career, which he enjoyed. He endured that pain. He was dealing with those who were able to source that medication for him without recourse to a pharmacy. An opportunity arose to be paid in medication for performing a service, for moving this sum of money, and this he duly did. Keatings was arrested earlier this year following a tip-off last year to the NCA about a large dirty cash handover due to take place in a street in Wishaw, Lancashire. The court was told that police and officers from the NCA laid wait in Young Street, and about 2:30 p.m. on June 28, 2024, a white Mercedes van arrived and parked. The driver of that van was alone. A few minutes later, Keatings appeared driving a white Ford Transit and parked next to the Mercedes. Keatings got out and removed two weighty boxes from his van and placed them in the rear of the second van before driving away at around 2:30 p.m. Both vans then drove away. The Mercedes, driven by the other man, was then seen to park in a straight Station Road in Dollar, Clackmannshire. The Mercedes driver got out and went into a house. He then left again, got into a third van, this time a black Mercedes, which he drove to High Street, Glasgow, where a woman got in. Prosecutor Alistair McDermid said the woman was carrying a weighty polyethylene bag. The van then drove back to Station Road, Dollar, where the driver was arrested. The key to the white Mercedes was in his pocket and it was searched. Inside the white Mercedes van, officers found 2 office boxes containing 78 bundles of notes, up to a total of £390,040. Also in the boxes were a quantity of elastic bands, which turned out to have Keatings' DNA on them. Keatings' finger and palm prints were found in various locations on the outside of both boxes and on the inside of the second box. His fingerprints were also on some of the banknotes. Sheriff Sheed jailed Keatings for 13.5 months. He said a custodial sentence is the only appropriate disposal. Keatings showed no emotion as he was led down to the cells. On the public benches, members of his family wept. He will face further proceedings in October under the Proceeds of Crime Act to seize the criminal cash. NCA Regional Head of Investigations, Ian Thomas, said Keatings moved hundreds of thousands of pounds in suspected criminal funds, but what he didn't know was OCP officers were watching his every move. The NCA will continue to work closely with our law enforcement partners to bring offenders like Keatings to justice and disrupt offenders and their criminality wherever there is an opportunity to do so. Detective Chief Inspector Laura Sands, Organised Crime and Counter-Terrorism Unit, said, "This investigation underlines our commitment to the Serious Organised Crime Task Force and the country's Serious Organised Crime Strategy. We will continue to work with our partner agencies to tackle this type of criminal activity and ensure those responsible face justice." NCA Regional Head of Investigations, Ian Thomas, said James Keatings moved hundreds of thousands of pounds in suspected criminal funds, but what he didn't know was OCP officers were watching his every move. The NCA will continue to work closely with our law enforcement partners to bring offenders like Keatings to justice and disrupt offenders and their criminality wherever there is an opportunity to do so. Detective Chief Inspector Laura Sands, Organised Crime and Counter-Terrorism Unit, said, "This investigation underlines our commitment to the Serious Organised Crime Task Force and the country's Serious Organised Crime Strategy. We will continue to work with our partner agencies to tackle this type of criminal activity and ensure those responsible face justice." Please check out Underworld UK on YouTube for all the best real-life crime stories, and a massive thank you to Everything Casual for sharing my video.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you subscribe, you will be notified when we release a new video. It could be your firm we make a video about next, so don't miss out and hit the subscribe button. You can find me on Facebook or email me if you have a good story to tell. See you next time.